Hello and welcome to the Turnstile. My name's Harry. This is the very first podcast that I have ever put together. Um, I'm a huge Arsenal fan, um, Arsenal season ticket holder, and I just wanted to have my input on obviously the football that we've seen over the weekend. Obviously, mainly the Arsenal game, the title race that is developing for us. So here's my takes on what we've seen. So obviously it was a very disappointing result for Arsenal this weekend. A trip over to Merseyside, dropping 3 points, is never a good result. However, I was slightly concerned going into the game. I was thinking in the past we have seen Arsenal get themselves into great situations where they then come up across weaker opposition that they should be blowing out the park and managing to drop it. There was part of me inside that was thinking this is a new era of Arsenal. Obviously, we've seen results such as the win away against Spurs, beating United, beating Liverpool at home. There was a part of me inside that thought, yeah, we can change the tide of this now. This is going to be the way we go forward. Obviously, we've not won away at Everton since 2017. However, with everything that's going on, there was also a huge part of me that was in doubt. Obviously, you've got the new manager bounce, Sean Dyche coming in, great manager, set up perfectly. Um, the physicality of Gay and Nana, Decore, it really just broke up the way that Arsenal wanted to play. With Goodison, we've seen it in the past as well. When things start getting really out of hand, the atmosphere in their turns. And I think the age of this Arsenal team was exposed yesterday. We saw it towards the end of last season, the huge atmospheres. I remember a trip over to Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Obviously, the Newcastle game, just where those big atmospheres seem to strike fear into a few of the players, and they just start to fall off where they should be. Um, I think Erdegaard looked well off the pace. Again, I don't know if that's him himself or just the way that Everton set up. We all know that Thomas Partey is the anchor of that midfield, and him sitting there allows Xhaka the freedom, Erdegaard the freedom to really play the sort of football that they want to play. So I think a combination of him maybe not having his best game of football combined with the midfield battle that was presented with us really did cause a struggle. I think someone like Martinelli as well, he looks slightly out of form. One of my favourite Arsenal players. We know the ability that he does have, but I think I started to notice it in the Newcastle game, especially. His decision making seems slightly off. He seems slightly scared to take a man on and really drive at defenders. I think the introduction of Trossard is amazing. Great Premier League proven. Um, when a player is struggling slightly, maybe that extra bit of competition as well would just help him to raise that bar a little bit more. I think you've got two really good players playing in that position. So hopefully it's just a slight dip. We should see him return to form very shortly. I think the main concern in terms of the squad itself is just the fitness of Thomas Partey. Like I say, we really know that he makes that team tick. We saw again the end of last season when he went out injured. Now Nenny steps in, although Nenny did a great job. It's just not quite to the level that Partey can play at. And I think if we lose him, you then start losing the space for the rest of the midfield. Someone like Xhaka has to drop slightly deeper. Erdegaard doesn't get the space that he wants. I quite liked the cameo from Jorginho. I saw that he was getting a lot of stick on social media, but I don't really think he did too much wrong. I know obviously there's a slight backlash being an older player coming from Chelsea with obviously people like David Luiz, Willian in the past. Those horror stories, we don't want to see it happen again. However, I think it's a shrewd bit of business for Arsenal. Again, like I say, with the example of last season where the second string of Arsenal players was nowhere near the level that we were performing at. Jorginho, although he's not the player that we wanted, obviously we wanted the big name signings to come in. Um, I think it's smart because when that level does drop off, Partey does get injured or he needs to be rested, it's not too far a drop off. Essentially, he's the spare wheel in the boot of your car. It's nothing fancy. You can't drive on it forever, but it might just get you across the line. Um, I think as well with the age of the team, obviously the temperament. was a slight concern towards the end. It looked like we were almost trying to force it. I think that we've been praised this season, rightfully so, for our temperament in just sort of sticking to what we do. Don't panic. We saw it against Man United. Just keep doing what you do, following it through, and eventually you'll get the reward. I feel like against Everton, we started to get a little bit rushed. We saw Zinchenko shooting from 40 yards. I thought he had an absolutely amazing game. The way that he plays in that midfield role as well from left back, the inverted wing back is brilliant. But I think he started to lose his head at the end. You saw it with the slight scrap with Malpe. You knew exactly what he was trying to do: slow the game down, getting ahead, and then Arteta obviously dragging him off the pitch at the end of the game. I think Arteta summed it up perfectly after the game, just saying that he loves the team now even more than he did before. Not to panic, just keep your heads down and just focus on the next game. That's one thing that I've really enjoyed about the sort of title race that Arsenal have been in at the moment. Nobody's getting too ahead of themselves. Arteta says it starts in training. That's the most important thing. The next day, the next game. We're not thinking 10 games in advance. We're thinking day by day by day. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, the weekend wasn't a total disaster. Obviously, we've just seen the Spurs result. Spurs winning 1-0 at home to Manchester City. Harry Kane breaking Spurs' goal scoring record. A huge congratulations to him. Will he be there next season? I highly doubt it. A player of his quality, not winning any trophies, he might be the best player in the world to never win a trophy if he stays at Spurs. I think the next best I can think after him would be Matt Letizia. Um, I could see possibly a move to Man United. More realistically, I think maybe a move to somewhere like Bayern Munich. He can rack up a couple of quick Bundesliga titles, get some silverware under his belt, and every sort of 4, 5, 6 years, Bayern Munich, they will have a run at a Champions League. So he'll get his opportunity at Champions League. He'll get some trophies under his belt, and it'd be a good way to round off his career, just so he doesn't go completely trophyless. But yeah, a huge result for Spurs. Keeps us 5 points clear. At the end of the day, with the weekend, how it's been, City haven't gained any ground on us. That's huge. We obviously still have that vital game in hand. You saw in the United game as well, Casemiro getting sent off for United, which again, massive. He's their start player. He's out for the next 3 games. Again, it's a win for us. And we all saw Liverpool getting humiliated by Wolves. So, all in all, not a horrendous weekend. I mean, there are positives to be taken. I think looking at that Manchester City team as well, it's evident that they're not really the team that they were sort of a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. When I look at them play, you think we could really get at these guys here. We saw it when we went over to the Etihad in the FA Cup. We had a number of changes. People like Rob Holding coming in, starting the game. Matt Turner in goal. Whereas City went full strength apart from the goalkeeper. We went toe-to-toe with them. Partey came off at half-time. I think that was the main difference there. We lost that game, but it was the only loss that I've really come away in a long time thinking, yeah, you know what, we'll take that, because I think coming to the Emirates, the atmosphere that has been there this season, I really think that we could get a result from them. What's the most important now, like Arteta's always saying, game by game, we got Brentford next weekend. That's huge. Must be a 3 points. And then obviously we've got the game against Manchester City. So hopefully all goes well. Like I say, it's my very first podcast, so thank you all for listening. Hopefully we'll have a few more shortly.